So in this way, we speak about non-duality, and the Bhagavatam, as we can see, have extolled the glories of non-duality from the beginning till the very end. Throughout the whole treatise, the whole book is about non-dual thinking, if you will, and revolves around this notion, but also extols the glories of non-duality by contrast, by speaking about or showing how dual thinking, dualistic thinking, is the source of all problems, which means non-dual thinking is the source of all solutions. So there's a famous verse in the bottom, Bhayam Dvitiya Viniveshatasya, and so on, which basically this verse says, all difficulty, all fear, all problems arise when we see something other than Krishna. When we see something separate from Krishna, where Krishna is not being included in the equation. Dualistic mentality, Dvitiya, by contrast to Advitiya. We call that sometimes separate interest. We have an interest which is separate from a non-dual ground, a dualistic mentality. Krishna is here or there, and something else over here is separate from him. So Srila Siddhar Maharaj will say in this connection that the first deviation from Advai Gyan, or from the principle of non-duality, the first deviation is the conception of separate interest, Dvitiya, this idea of seeing reality as fragmented. That's in one sense also the scenario in which the Bhagavad Gita begins. Dharmakshetri Kurukshetri Samaveta Yujutsavaha Pandavas Mamakaschaiva Kimakurubhata Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra is mentioning, making a clear distinction between my sons and the Pandavas, creating this duality. Dhritarashtra represents dualistic mind, and his dualistic mind is the one that somehow, if you study Mahabharata, is the one that creates the war. He could have avoided the war, but he chose to keep this idea of, on one side I have Duryodhan, my favorite child, and all my other children, and on the other side the Pandavas. So dualism, this has a very high degree of symbolism, where the Bhagavad Gita begins. So dualism is the birthplace to all war, to all conflict. In the Bible, there is one verse similarly that says that by eating of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which basically will refer to dualistic thinking, you will die. So it's another way of putting the same idea. So my point is, this idea is everywhere. It's not only in the Bhagavatam. We find that in every religious mystical tradition. So we need to embrace our non-dual side, but also we need to understand in which way we Gaudiyas are non-dual, in which particular way our tradition is non-dual. And a proper understanding of this middle point, which is not an extreme of radical non-dualism nor dualism, will prove crucial, again, not only as a theological stance, but to how we relate with everything, with reality itself, because again, reality is non-dual. So how we relate with everything, with reality, which is non-dual, and failing to do so, failing to relate with to reality as non-dual, may filter every aspect of our existence with a dualistic vision that will go against the very viewpoint of our school. So similarly, as we already spoke in the past, we are a personalist tradition, but sometimes we may misrepresent our tradition by behaving in ways that are depersonalized and impersonal. Similar, we are a non-dual tradition and we consider reality as non-dual, but we may misrepresent our own school by behaving in dualistic terms.